So I know I'm a little late to the party, but I recently had the chance to watch Bad Boys Ride or Die, and before that I rewatched the three other Bad Boys movies. So I wanted to come on here and rank the Bad Boys movies from worst to best and share my thoughts on all of them. And just a quick little side note, this franchise is super consistent. I don't think there's a bad Bad Boys movie. I don't think there's just an okay Bad Boys movie. I think the Bad Boys movies are all awesome. They're all really good to excellent action movies. And out of all the rankings I've done, this is probably the most consistent and maybe the most difficult I've done because all these movies are just so much fun and I enjoy them all. So without further ado, here's my ranking of the four Bad Boys movies. In fourth place, I have the original Bad Boys, and like I was saying in the intro, even though it's in fourth place, this is still a really good movie. And really, the only thing that holds this one below the others is I'm not the biggest fan of Tay Leone's character, and I just think the Marcus and Mike dynamic, it's great in this. I love Marcus trying to portray Mike because of just the silliest reason that Mike was out of the office and they needed him, so they had Marcus go in his place. It's super silly, but that's what makes it fun. But I feel like their banter is a little bit better than the other movies. I think this one is more them like just starting the franchise and figuring out where they want to take it, what direction they want to go. So I think that the action isn't quite as good, the humor isn't quite as good, but it's still really good. This is a classic action movie, one of the best buddy cop movies, and I mean, if the fourth place on this list is one of the best buddy cop movies, that means that all four of these are. But yeah, there's a couple things that make this one not quite as great as the others. But I mean, this movie is just so much fun. I love the final action sequence at the airport and just the car chase at the very end. There's some iconic lines. It honestly makes me really sad to have this one in last place, but like I said, this isn't a. I said it's worst to best. I should correct myself. This is really good to best, where it's really good, best. In between, these are all really good movies. It's super difficult, but if I had to choose, which, as this is a ranking, I do have to choose, I'd put this one in last place. But I mean, it gave us Marcus Burnett and Mike Lowry. How can you not love this movie? In third place, I have Bad Boys 2, and this movie is just peak Bayham. You got the humor cranked up, you got the action cranked up, and although sometimes this movie it can go a little too far, specifically there's a gag with rat sex that I know has turned off some of the people I've recommended this movie to. So there's that, and also the opening sequence with Mike and Marcus going undercover into the KKK. That is an odd choice to start the movie. I think it's hilarious the direction they go with it, but it definitely goes throws all the scales up to 11, but it's just so much fun. This movie is just an absolute blast. The action is insane. This is probably Michael Bay's craziest action movie. I mean, you have that car chase where just cars are flipping in the road, going over another car. That's wild. Then you get to the finale, and Mike and Marcus are literally driving through a town. That's insane. Like, you just stop to think about it, and you're like, how many people really died in the climax of Bad Boys 2? And probably hundreds, but it's just, you're having so much fun. You're not even thinking about that. You're not thinking, like, is this scene problematic? Is this how action with cops would probably go? Would cops really go into undercover operation to another country where they don't have jurisdiction? Probably not, but is it entertaining to watch? Absolutely. I think Gabrielle Union is a better side character next to Marcus and Mike than Taylor in the first one, so that holds up a little bit, and I just think it's so much fun. Maybe a little excessive, and you can even feel in the runtime a little bit. It's by far the longest one, but still, Bad Boys 2 is just like peak early 2000s action, and it's crazy, and we love it for that. In second place, I have Bad Boys Ride or Die, which honestly should have been called Bad Boys for Life, but that joke's been made a lot, so I won't go into it anymore. But yeah, this movie was an absolute blast. I had so much fun in the theater watching it, and honestly, with a couple more rewatches, I could see this one taking the top spot, but right now I can't go there yet. But I just think it's such a memorable movie and it has so much style and fun sequences. Our new directors who are returning from Bad Boys for Life, they just bring such just new and just fun energy to the filmmaking. And Michael Bay has fun with the filmmaking, but there's something about this style that I feel like I like a little more than Michael Bay's. It takes certain elements from Michael Bay's and improves upon them, where you get this video game esque shootout sequence where we have the camera facing our characters and then switching around and showing us what they're looking at and the perspective of their weapon. That is awesome. And there's just so many different action sequences that are so much fun. In particular, that theme park Gatorland exhibit at the end was insane. Crazy stuff going on. But I just think this movie was a blast. I love how we got the captain somehow in here through his limited screen time. You've seen the trailers and some video appearances. I'm happy that they just didn't completely remove him from the franchise, but I like how we had some returning cast through the Ammo Squad. That was a lot of fun. I like where they took Mike Lowrey in a new relationship. That was awesome. I'd been hoping they would do that. And really, what these two Bad Boys movies, the newer ones, have done is they just have such a strong emotional core. And this one does too. I wouldn't say it's as strong as For Life, but just by focusing on just the mental health and what's going on in these characters, it just makes the movie so much deeper and more emotional, and you feel like you're have more at stake in the movie, where you're genuinely scared because these characters for the first time feel like humans that can die. In the early two, it's they nothing can touch Mike and Marcus. In these movies, they feel like there is danger and they could get hurt or killed. So it just makes it feel so intense. I think that Martin Lawrence really shines in this movie. There's so many comedic scenes, particularly him hunting down Sugar and believing he's invincible. That they're amazing. Those are so funny. And Will Smith, I think, has some really good dramatic acting. Probably his best performance in any of the Bad Boys movies. And just such a thrilling plot where you understand what the characters are working towards. And in this one, they're on the run, trying to clear their name. And you're just pumped. And you want these bad guys to get taken down. And it's just so much fun to watch Mike and Marcus just go to war and try to clear the captain's name. So even though it's the newest one, and maybe recency bias is playing into that, but I think this is number two. And like I said, with more watches, maybe it'll shift the list because this is just an awesome, awesome action movie. And I'm really hoping we get more after this. I also got to take a minute to give some love to Reggie. He absolutely stole the movie. He has an amazing sequence in here, and I thought it was the best part of the movie. His scene was just amazing. So, yes, Reggie steals the movie, and I honestly could see just a Reggie-centered movie with Mike's son, too. Maybe they're the new Bad Boys. I don't know, but it was amazing. That scene is maybe one of the... Actually, not maybe. It is one of the best scenes of the Bad Boys franchise. And in first place, I have Bad Boys for Life, and I was a big fan of the first two movies when I went to watch this in theaters, but I was shocked how much I enjoyed it. This movie is excellent. It's an amazing action movie. It's one of my favorite action movies, and I think it was just a really great direction to take the franchise in. I think our new directors just bring such a fresh breath of new air into the franchise, and I really like the direction they take this movie, where we have Mike and Marcus at a different phase of their life. It's 20 years later after Bad Boys 2, and they're just analyzing and thinking about where they want to be in the future. Marcus is ready to retire from the force, but Mike thinks this is his whole purpose. He doesn't know what else he would do. So it's just a really interesting angle to see them just at different phases of their life while being the same age and just debating what's next for them. I also really like the emotional angle they take this movie with, and just seeing and hearing about Mike Lowrey's past it's so interesting, and it fits so well with the other movies. Sometimes these movies feel like they're retconning when they give a character a backstory that we didn't know about in the first movies, but this feels like it fits in perfectly. It feels like a missing puzzle piece. Does not feel like it's messing with the timeline or anything. It just really, honestly, betters the first two movies, knowing how Mike Lowrey was created and just the reason he acts the way he does and just how he became this man. And I think that's just fascinating. And just the past catching up to him just really intense, makes for some really, really just like emotional moments. And the final battle is just super emotional. You're really worried for these characters. And I remember watching the movie, I genuinely thought that Mike and Marcus could have died in that fire. I remember thinking, this is just such an emotional movie. This might be the finale of the franchise, but I'm super happy that we got Bad Boys Ride or Die. And I think this movie leads into a new set of movies really well. I enjoyed the new characters like Mike's son. I also really liked the Ammo Squad, and I thought Charles Melton and Vanessa Hudgens. It was fun seeing them in there. So overall, I think this movie was just a lot of fun. But the big thing I think that holds it over the other movies in this franchise is I think it has the best villain by far. I think the Bad Boys movies, they don't have bad villains, but they're just not really memorable. By making this character have such an emotional and just rich backstory to Mike, it just really makes it much more memorable and makes for some really intense battles and just overall an intense movie where you have this person just that has such hate in their heart and wants revenge, and it just makes it so much more intense and just makes you more scared for the characters than some random drug lord. So I thought this one was easily my favorite, but this whole franchise is awesome. And if you haven't seen them, I would highly recommend checking them out. And thanks for watching the video, and make sure to like and subscribe for more.